I think when you're reading eyewitness testimony, and 𝗦𝗦𝗧𝗦𝗢𝗧, my cold case homicide friend, will tell you, eyewitnesses always disagree over details. Always.
Is harmonization the most intellectually honest way of approaching the text? Does it not get cut apart by 𝗦𝗦𝗓𝗦𝗧?
𝗦𝗦𝗓𝗦𝗧 meaning you should not multiply causes beyond necessity. How would 𝗦𝗦𝗓𝗦𝗧 apply to this?
The way I understand 𝗦𝗦𝗓𝗦𝗧 being that the idea that the explanation which is most likely true is the one which requires the least assumptions.
Well, that's not always, I wouldn't say that's necessarily 𝗦𝗦𝗓𝗦𝗧. 𝗦𝗦𝗓𝗦𝗧 is not, you don't multiply causes beyond necessity. There may be, sometimes you need certain assumptions to discover what the truth is. For example, you find a dead body, there may be several assumptions that may have to go into that. The simplest cause for that might not be the true cause, right? A complicated kind of conspiracy, murder, that kind of thing. So it's not always the case. But your question about hermeneutics is, if we believe that the Bible's inerrant because it's God's Word, and Jesus promised that, and he said that the Old Testament was inerrant, certainly, then harmonization is just our way of trying to figure out how it can be inerrant by comparing texts and trying to discover what's underneath the text and ways we can try and discover how these two texts can go together. Now, might we be wrong about some of those harmonization techniques? Of course. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't look for them. In fact, back in 1912, as you know, the Titanic went down. And the survivors of the Titanic, some of them said the Titanic went down whole, and others said it broke in two before it went down. I guess that means we can't believe the Titanic sank, right? No, we can believe the Titanic sank even if the eyewitnesses disagreed over how it sank. Now, if we're trying to harmonize those eyewitness accounts, how might we be able to harmonize them? Because we all know the Titanic sank, right? What we might say is, maybe witnesses on the beam of the ship saw it break in two, but witnesses, say, on the bow or the stern couldn't see it break in two, and maybe that's why we got different eyewitness accounts. That would not be illegitimate harmonization. That would make sense. Same thing is true when you look at the Gospels. One Gospel says there was one angel at the tomb, the other says there were two. So how many were there? Well, the one Gospel that says there was one angel at the tomb doesn't say there was only one. He simply mentions one, right? It's not a contradiction to say there was one angel at the tomb and the other says there was two, unless one of them says there was only one and the other says there were two. Unless they're talking about different times, then that could be the way to harmonize it. So I think when you're reading eyewitness testimony, and 𝗦𝗦𝗧𝗦𝗧, my cold case homicide friend, will tell you, eyewitnesses always disagree over details. Always. If they have all the details set straight the same way, they colluded. They agree on the main thing. That guy shot the other guy. They may disagree on what color jacket he was wearing or how many shots were fired or that kind of thing, right? Same thing is true when you read eyewitness accounts in the Gospels. You've got to look for ways to how they could go together.